Chapter 8. Hunting the Beast. This is sexual harassment. As much as I would love to banter, now is not the time, dear. This Ram does not know what Eren-sama is talking about. She will be sure to report this manhandling of her delicate self to Roswell-sama. I'm sure Rose will forgive my brutish self, oh fair maiden. Just as surely as he prefers his subjects' continued well-being. He is responsible for their lives after all. It has only been a few minutes since they left the estate, the urgency of the situation driving them to great haste. The village was still quite the distance away, both the winding path and the encroaching darkness making it seem even further. Eren had no problems with covering long distances quickly. His enhanced body allowed him to cover short distances with speeds rivaling some cars. If you factor in his mana burst, he was sure he could reach the village within a few short minutes. Minutes they did not have to waste, which brought them to their current predicament. While Ram's assistance was appreciated, right now she was just too slow. She would not be able to keep up with the pseudo-servant's full speed. So, Eren made his decision. The sooner they got this done, the sooner they would be home for dinner. Rem was a lovely cook and much like almost every iteration of Saber, his belly needed, nay, demanded nourishment. It would not do to let the rumbly-grumbly set in. He was also eager to test out the results of his training, the Mabiasts would not kill themselves after all. He supposed there was also the issue of the endangered villagers. So, to solve the problem the most obvious way, Eren quickly acted. He picked up the disgruntled maid like a sack of potatoes and the world around them blurred. Ram was not appreciative of the treatment. Grabbing at Ram's smooth and silky skin like this. She should have known better, to think Eren-sama targeted her the whole time. Poor Rem was just a distraction to hide his true intentions, humph. I will gladly pick Rem over your scrawny body at any time. What are you even talking about? I am not even directly touching any of your skin. It's not like you're naked. Scrawny. Eren-sama should feel blessed, he can still feel Ram's rich and smooth skin. She will charge you 5 holy coins for this service. Service? I'm the one who carrying you. Do you want me to drop you? I will definitely drop you. Despite her nagging, Ram could not help but take note of the speed they were moving at. Eren did bring up the point of the imperiled children back before they left the mansion. If anything happened to them, it would reflect terribly on Roswell-sama's reputation. Still, could he not carry her in a different way? She was delicate. The humiliation stung her pride fiercely. She did find herself forced to agree with the knight in the end. He assured her they would be faster if he carried her. Though doubtful, she could detect no lie from him and dead to trust him. Which led back to her current predicament. He is fast, undoubtedly fast. He shows no sign of exhaustion, even while carrying me and moving at such unreal speeds. The surroundings were no more than a blur to her. She had seen him train every morning and noon the last couple of days. She knew he was both strong and fast, able to create pressure waves with the force of his swings, moving at times too fast for her eyes to follow. But this was just ridiculous. His current speed rivaled the kingdom's earth dragons, used for long-distance travel. The idea of a human moving this fast was absurd. She doubted even Reinhard van Astria, the current sword saint and Ludnika's most famous knight, would be able to easily match this speed. For this man, this stranger from an unknown land, to just casually display such levels of power, as if it was nothing special. He was not human. It did not take her long to reach her conclusion, there were few people capable of moving like this and they all needed to use magic to enhance their body. From him, she detected nothing of the sort. It was all just raw physical strength. Granted, it could also have been his armor. Ram did not believe so. While his raiments were indeed magical and of extraordinary quality, they did not seem to increase the speed of his movements. Eren Pendragon was not human. There was no way to man carrying her was human. His speed and strength revoke his every right to deny this. Not to mention the unmistakable scent of power he constantly radiates. You wouldn't guess by his appearance though, there is not a single sign of any demi-human trait. Does he conceal his real form with magic? She pondered. We're here. His voice and abrupt stop jostled the pink-haired Oni from her thoughts. She had to blink at seeing the familiar village entrance. Unsurprisingly, he was even farther than she thought. Hop down, Ram, if you want me to carry any further I'll charge you instead. Service my armored ass. Grumbling as he set her down. The maid's right eye twitched at the treatment. She would have bruised his shin if it wasn't so heavily armored. This Ram should be the one complaining, having to endure such harassment by Eren-sama's wicked hands. She shuddered, hugging herself. Poor Ram can't be a bride anymore. Only a masochist would ever marry you. Eren deadpanned as he shook his head. Let's continue this later, we need to check the village. He said. He would love to score another victory over her, but now was not the time. Yes. They immediately noticed the hubbub going on. Several people, both adults and youngsters, were running around with torches, shouting out familiar names. The pseudo-saber quickly called out to the first person he knew. Ken. The young man turned around when his name was called. He was surprised at their late visit. Eren-sama. Ram-sama. Ken, did something happen? What's with the commotion? Eren asked, gesturing to their surroundings. Yeah. Several of the children have disappeared. Ken informed with a troubled look, we are looking for them. He explained, what are the two of you doing here at this hour, my lord? We realized some demon beasts may have managed to get by the barriers, we came as fast as we could. Eren explained, drawing a shocked look from the youth. Demon beasts in the village? He asked, paling. How? And how can you know? When we were getting supplies this noon, Rem got bitten by a strange-looking puppy, do you know about it? Eren asked back. Yes, it was playing with the young ins all day. Ken answered with a gulp before his eyes filled with realization, don't tell me. The bite was cursed. Eren grimly confirmed, we suspect the thing is a mabeast in disguise. Then the children were taken by the creature. Eren nodded and the man became paler, stay with me now. He barked when noticed the man began to hyperventilate, listen. Place hands on his shoulder and stare into the young man in eyes, gather the most able-bodied people you can find, but don't just bring everyone. Too large a group will only hinder us in the forest. Be quick about it. Eren was not sure the lad was even registering what he told him, he seemed on the verge of a panic attack. Much to his surprise, Ken seemed to snap out of it after a few moments. He was overwhelmed by the sudden severity of the situation, but he still managed to give a shaky nod. Right. I will do that. Ken replied with nod, we will meet you at the forest meet lord. Eren blinked. That was, kind of surprising. Was it my charisma? Ram is surprised, he looked about ready to soil himself when you mentioned the mabeast. Ram commented with a blank look. Hush, don't be rude now. At least he showed some courage. Eren reprimanded the maid, let's go to the forest entrance and wait for them. Yes. Ram nodded and started following him. Was it wise to inform them? Ram asked, they are likely to be a burden. Perhaps, but the problem lies in the number of the children that have been taken. Eren answered with a solemn look, it's going to be difficult to get them all out at once, not to mention what's going to happen if we are attacked. We can't be everywhere at once. He explained, besides, you know how to fight, right? Or at least some magic. I'm sure the both of us will be a fine distraction while the other adults get the children to safety. I see. That was quite some quick thinking, as expected of the man who could keep pace with her tongue. But what makes Eren-sama think the children haven't already been eaten? Maybe Asts feed on mana. Eren answered easily, they will drain them dry before moving on to their flesh. And while the curse is indeed lethal, I do not believe the demon has activated it yet. I do not even believe it has used the same curse it did on Rem. No, the beast has some intelligence. It wants all of the children, and alive if possible. If it only wanted to feed itself it would not have taken all the children. I am confident it has a pack to feed, somewhere inside the forest. In other words, they have more time since the curse is not as lethal as one inflicted on Rem. Ram concluded with a nod of understanding. Exactly. Eren nodded, glad the girl understood his reasoning, we're here. He said as he stood directly in front of Forest. Ram began looking around, quickly noticing the lack of glowing light coming from one of the stones carved into the bark of a nearby tree, the barrier. She murmured, it hasn't failed, it has been deliberately broken. Her eyes narrowed sharply as she inspected the stone, this is no accident. This was planned. Eren agreed grimly, all of this happening when Rose happens to be out for business. Rem getting cursed on her only trip to the village in weeks. This is no coincidence. I agree. Ram said aloud, this is dangerous, what if the mansion is the true target? Is this only a distraction? She murmured in slight concern. No, I don't think so. This is neither a frontal assault nor a full attack. Aaron answered as he observed the stone in the tree, this is likely sabotage, maybe an assassination. Assassination and sabotage. By now there must be word among the nobility that Emilia is a half-elf. A half-elf candidate in the royal selection must be making some of them quite nervous. Aaron began to explain to the pink-haired Oni, they don't like it, but they also can't really afford to move directly against Emilia and by extension Rose. So they try to sabotage her campaign more indirectly, having the children go missing, attempting to murder Roswell's staff, all of it by using the beasts of the surrounding area. It would be an unfortunate accident, a tragedy. People talk and tend to be superstitious. If they manage to spread enough rumors that Emilia brings bad luck or is even cursed to do so, making the people hate Rose for harboring the cursed half-elf would put him in a very difficult position, maybe even forcing him to withdraw support from Emilia. Roswell is both powerful and very influential. It would not be hard for him to stop and trace back any direct attack on the manor. He would maybe even be able to bring something positive out of direct attacks. Garnering favor or Emilia, the poor oppressed half-elf, only trying to be heard, while at the same time politically destroying her opposition for the brutal unprovoked assault. Maybe they are also just too afraid to directly target Emilia, with her supposedly look so much like the Witch of Envy, lest they invoke her wrath or some bullshit like that. Better safely destroy her reputation from the shadows. Ram, sees. Ram was speechless as she mulled over his explanation, so the manor is safe then? Highly possible. Aaron nodded, I don't know about Rem but Emilia is not defenseless even without Puck, not to mention their Beatrice San in there as well. Ram took a moment to comprehend the explanation, her mind processing all the information before she slowly gave a nod, this is kind of troubling and confusing, but Ram can see how the scenario went. She murmured. Welcome to the wonderful world of politics. Aaron dryly said, where money and a few well-placed words can dethrone the greatest king and fell the mightiest monster. It sounds so dirty and sad despite the amazing feats. Ram deadpanned. Ram is surprised that Aaron-sama is so knowledgeable about these things. It's common knowledge among nobles, they are expected to know about it. Aaron chuckled in a mirthless manner. How sad. Ram seemed to almost pity him. Almost. I know. Aaron sighed, but that is how the world works. There they are. Aaron turned around to see a group of people, consisting of 5 men. They held a variation of weapons, axes, swords, maces, large hammers, and one of them wielding a crossbow. Leading them was Ken who was wielding a sword. Aaron-sama, I gathered people that can fight. Ken reported to him. Good, I take it Ken already gave you all a summary of what happened. Aaron asked to them and got a chorus of nods as the answer, then let's not waste any more time. Ram, do you know a way to track them? We can use the trail they left behind but... Ram can do that, please wait for a moment. Ram said as she took a deep breath and closed her eyes. Aaron and everyone watched as Ram's face morphed to one of concentration. If the pseudo-saber recalled correctly, Ram had some sort of blessing related to clairvoyance. She was able to borrow the vision of others inside a certain range, quite useful in his opinion. Found them. Ram said, eyes opened once again and she turned to Aaron, the children still alive. Hearing that the villagers were relieved and began to whispering to each other, Aaron himself also allowed a small smile to cross his face at the news. But there are many demon beasts. Ram counted around 20 and there are probably more hidden around the area. Ram added with slight concern. Well, those are certainly not good news. Aaron thought wryly as the group's spirits fell again. Not like he going to blame them, as he recalled the dog beasts looked like Doberman. Facing 20 Doberman, likely more, with only 8 people all armed with close-ranged weaponry did not seem appealing. I see, then I will be going first. He said aloud as he turned to everyone, I'm strong enough to handle that much, albeit I will need help but at least I can hold myself for a moment. While I distract them, I want everyone to secure the children. The idea of a single person facing such number of mabiasts by themselves was absurd. The villagers wanted to protest, however all of their complaints died in their throats when they saw the steel in Aaron's eyes. They saw his resolve and were compelled to believe in him. Aaron allowed a small smile cross his lips when he saw the group's acceptance. Thank the gods for his charisma. Alright everyone, prepare yourself, we're going in. Yeah. Leave it to us. We're gonna teach them Mutz a lesson fair messin' with us. Aaron nodded before turning to Ram. The girl was notably out of breath, exhausted even. Her forehead was drenched with sweat. You okay there, Ram? Ram is fine. Ram took a deep breath, she just needs some rest. Ram will be fine once we reach the Maybeasts, she informed. The blonde stared at her for a moment before giving another nod, then lead the way, warn us when we get close. I don't want to get closer than 20 meters for now. Yes, Eren-sama. This is not what I expected at all. Eren's thoughts were troubled as the group followed behind Ram, heading deeper into the forest. Instead get Rem he got Ram, who has pretty much very low stamina and can barely use magic. While she could still hold her own against some common punks and even some with cultists, Eren was sure if she had taken Rem's place in canon both her and Subaru would be dead. Why would they target Rem over me in the first place? I was out in the open for most of the afternoon, trying to lure out the demon beast user. Shouldn't the pup have been attracted to him in the first place? The witch's stench may be faint, but it was enough to get Subaru bitten. It was then the realization hit him like a brick. Stench. Of course. By the gods. How could I be so oblivious of this? The lingering witch stench is repulsive, the demon beast was not attracted to it in first place, it tried to actively avoid it. The reason why they attacked Subaru was because of the smell making them uncomfortable and killing him would have rid them of the problem. But him? They can not only smell the witch, they must also be able to sense the dragon blood in his veins and the mana he radiates. They are intimidated by me. That puppy must have informed Melee of the danger I pose. Why would they risk targeting the powerful stranger when there was a weaker target nearby? Of course. Of fucking course. He wanted to bash his head against something. While things may be similar to canon, there will always be differences. It's not going to stay the same, just the opposite. His presence is so radically different from Subaru, how could the scenario not be different in places? Even Subaru managed to significantly change whole timelines during his loops. So why the hell did he expect things to stay the same? He was such an idiot, the biggest fool to ever exist. Eren-sama, we're close. He stopped beating himself up when Ram's voice reached his ears. Damn it, even now he kept getting distracted. Ha, he really had a lot to learn. Everyone stop. Eren ordered. He took few steps forward, passing by Ram and turned to everyone, we will proceed as planned. I will go first and draw their attention, meanwhile you all will secure the children. He then turned to the villagers, and if it possible, I want you all to run back to village immediately. What? Ken exclaimed in shock, Eren-sama, me lord, you clearly can't expect us to dash. I can't allow for any harm to come to you. Eren cut him off firmly, the purpose of this battle is to retrieve the kidnapped children, that is our main goal. We can't defend them while fighting all those Woolgarm at same time. He said, peering into the eyes of the nervous villagers, no matter what, the children are our main priority. If you want to rejoin the battle then fine, however you all must make sure the children reach the village unharmed first. They are cursed, if we delay things any more their lives will be at risk. Am I clear? In truth, Eren knew that having them assist would have been a great help. However, he also didn't want to risk them. While he would be fine if they died under his watch, it would still place a huge burden on his conscience. He did not want to take that risk, he could not. He was not ready for something like that. It was fine risking himself, since he knew his limits and if things turned for the worst he could rely on return by death, but these people? Besides, he needed the combat experience. Facing a large number of enemies at same time will make for some good training. Ram, you'll also follow them. Eren said to the maid. The pink demon's eyes narrowed, obviously disliking the order. Eren-sama did not forget the reason Ram came here, right? Yes, however you have to ensure their safety first. After that rejoin me. Eren answered, don't worry, I will make sure it lives long enough to see you before it dies. He added with a reassuring smile. We shall see, Eren-sama. Humph. Eren simply grunted before turning to the villagers, I take it you all understand the situation then? Yes. Ken answered with nod, we will take back the children first, only then will we return to help you, Eren-sama. It would be best to bring the children to the manor to have their curses broken. Eren said, however I know you all won't accept that, so I guess you all can come back to help me. Ken and the villagers grinned at this, of course, we can't let those mutts take our children for free, right? We are going to break their skulls open. I expect no less, and remember, after returning the children to the village please bring them to the mansion, there will be healer capable of removing the curses. Yes. Good, then. Eren took breath and turned to Ram, I will be going first. Yes, please be careful, Eren-sama. Rem's dinner will be wasted if Eren-sama gets himself killed. You say such morbid things. As expected of you, Ram. Aaron chuckled before he turned around, staring at the dark path that in front of him. There is a clearing not far from here, right? Yes. Then. Without any further words, Aaron kicked the ground as strong as he could and dashed. He heard a gasp from Ken and the others, but their voices were quickly drowned out by the wind rushing by his ears. He cleared 10 meters in less than 3 seconds, one hand extended, Excalibur answering his call. Gripping it, he burst through a bush into the clearing. His green eyes immediately scanned the area, finding the missing children unconscious, surrounded by the demon beasts. Yeah, they really do look like Doberman, save for the size. Gods, they look even bigger than in the anime. Some of the Woolgarm were practically the size of adult men, bigger than even him by about a foot. While most of them were the size of regular Doberman, there were some truly huge specimen in the mix. Their eyes were a solid black, no pupil to be seen. Bone-like ridged grew along their back, and their snout was adorned with a single sharp-looking horn. Drool practically dripped from their open maws, revealing sharp fangs. Aaron grabbed Excalibur with 2 hands, releasing the energy inside him in a burst, propelling him forward with tremendous speed. He became a flash, striking through the beasts in a straight line, piercing many of them with Excalibur. He pushed the bodies off his sword, spinning on his feet. He immediately took a stance and glared at the dogs surrounding him. 20. Like hell 20. Their numbers were over 30. Everywhere he looked he only saw the eerie red-colored orbs glaring back at him. This might not be as easy as I thought. He thought while gulping inwardly as he griped Excalibur tighter. You all want some grub? He asked with sneer, then come get some. Magical energy burst from his whole body, turquoise electricity sparking around him, blaring a roar of challenge to the beasts in front of him. The demon beasts growled and barked in response. They could smell this man, smell what he was. How he reeked of power and witches. They needed to avoid him at any cost. Facing him meant facing death. They remembered the power of the witches. They would never forget their creator's might. However, he stood alone. Might and strong, big and gigantic, but he was alone. Their numbers would overwhelm him. Not to mention the mana radiating from him. So potent. So strong. So dense. So delicious. They will bring him down. They will bury their fangs in his neck. They will feast on his body. They will drain all of his magical energy until not Hingis left. They charged forward, all of them. The children forgotten, cast aside for the bigger feast. They came from all directions, like ants swarming over a single sugar cube. Aaron brought Excalibur down upon the first dog to reach him, cleaving the creature in twain without any resistance. He quickly brought the holy sword up and spun 180 degrees to cut apart another one lunging at his back. His instincts screamed at him, allowing for no hesitation. Ducking down, he avoided a dog trying to bite his head off. He spun in his place and used Mana Burst, the boost from his magical energy creating a propelling force, strengthen his spin and creating a burst of wind strong enough to repel the dogs surrounding him for nary a moment, saving him from getting swarmed. Knowing this bought him precious little time, Aaron did not waste a second. The moment the dogs flinched he ran forward, once again utilizing Mana Burst to enhance his charge. He swung the holy sword with all his might, cleaving through 2 nearby beasts with a single swing. The moment he did that, 6 dogs instantly lunged at him from behind, left and right. Aaron felt them draw close, instinct driving him to spin his body, striking out at the attackers. His previous attack left him too unbalanced for his strike to be accurate. Instead of cleaving them all, he missed 3 of them. The Woolgarm buried their fangs in his thighs and stomach with enough force to snap trees like twigs. It was very fortunate the knight was not without his armor. Servant endurance or not, he would have felt that. Clicking his tongue, Aaron swung Excalibur down, swiftly decapitating the dogs gnawing on his body. As he was about to move, another beast tackled him from behind, almost forcing him to one knee. He quickly reached for the dog, grabbing the paw latched to his upper arm, swiftly yanking the demon beast off his back, throwing it to the ground. He didn't get chance to do anything further, forced to swing Excalibur up with one hand, giving uppercut slash to another dog charging him head on. This was as far as he could go as another group of Mabiasts tackled him from his right side, sending him painfully to the ground. He grunted, trying to quickly get to his feet, but more were already there, crashing into him with their bodies. Seeing their chance having finally downed the knight, the dogs would not let this opportunity go. They all rushed at him, burying their prey under their mass, swarming all over him. Claws and fangs extended, they aimed to rip their buried victim apart. Eren bit his lips to keep from screaming out. While his armor protected his body, but the same could not be said for his face. He grit his teeth as he felt their claws gouge into his cheeks. He hurriedly called forth the mana inside him, forcing as much as he could from his whole body at once. Bang! It answered his frantic calls, an explosion of arcane energy bursting from his buried form, blasting the swarming woolgarm of him. The pseudo-saber stabbed Excalibur into the ground, hoisting himself onto his feet. He was breathing heavily, blood coating his face. His emerald orbs warily observed his surroundings as he once again slowly strengthened his stance. That was close. Way too close. If Eren hadn't done that, he is sure the dogs would have ripped apart his neck. Getting healed by lesser spirits or not, he doubted he would have survived that. He shuddered at the mental image of his torn throat, he feels his heart beating faster and fear creeping up his spine. But he forced himself to calm, being afraid in this situation won't do anything except bring more problems. The children. He immediately looking over to where the children were before, and to his relief they were already gone. Ram and the villagers must be already saved them and were now on their way back to the village. Good, that mean he had nothing to worry about. Wait, where's that little mutt? Eren thought, blinking. For the first since the start of the battle, he finally noticed that the puppy who was supposed to be commanding all these beasts was not on field. He was confused, no matter where his eyes traveled, he could not find the thing. If it is not here then, where is? His eyes widened, realization dawning to him, oh fuck. He whispered in horror. This is only a distraction, the abomination knew it would be in danger facing him directly and the controller, Meili, knew her mission is not to bring him down but to kill the children and maybe one of Roswell's employees, which meant Ram. He found himself shouting the maid's name despite her being nowhere close to him. He was about to charge after them but the snapping jaws and threatening growls of the woolgar made him pause. Gritting his teeth in anger, Eren green eyes seemed to glow with, I don't have time for this. He roared at the demon beasts that surrounded him. The response he got was another roar from the beasts as they charged him. Earlier with Ram. The operation was a success, just like Eren planned. The dogs did not pay them any attention and they managed to retrieve the children without even drawing a glance. Right now she and the villager were carrying the children, intending to return to the village and after that hurry back to help Eren. The number of the demon beasts, it was far more than the first time I saw them. Ram thought with slight concern. She and the others did not waste any time to look at Eren's battle. More like they could not. The beasts swarming him were too many, blocking their view. Seeing their numbers, it would have been suicide trying to help him. They would not have been able to defend themselves if the demon beasts turned on them since they had children to protect. Bring the children to the safety first, that was the main priority. Still, even knowing that Eren is someone that's supposed to be fine by himself, Ram can't help but worry of him. The number of beasts was by any means far larger than expected. How is that possible? She was sure it only about 20 to 30, but after seeing them swarming over Eren, it's safe to say that it was above 50. Could it be, they knew we would come? That was a possibility, they were not facing simple Mabiasts, but a tamer. He must be hiding and watching the fight between Eren and those beasts. But then, why? Why would they let them go so easily? Was Eren their target? Eren himself did admit to being a escapee, though he was sure that he is dead to the world and... Or, it could be a dash. Her thoughts were cut short as she feel a shift of mana in the air. The wind was stirring, she could even feel a small tremor from the ground. A distraction. She finished her thought as she spun around, magic gathering around her palm, El Fura. An extreme blast of magical wind shot out from her palm, launching behind her, just in time to catch a wave of mud surging toward them like a tidal wave. Wind and earth clashed, the gale splitting the mud into two, failing to engulf Ram and the villagers trailing behind her. What was that? Ken gasped as he saw what was just about to hit them. Go! Ram barked to the young man, go. Ram will handle this. Get the children out of here. Be but dash. Ken. The oldest looking barked, remember what Eren-sama said, the children are the main priority. He then turned to Ram still struggling to block the mud that threatened to swallow them, we will return soon Ram-sama don't go too far away. Ram did not respond to his words, she kept focusing on blocking the mud wave surging at her. Focusing her spell once again, Ram manipulated the wind, compressing it into an arc, Fura. The arc-shaped air wave struck, slicing the mud into two, cutting it apart and ending it. The pink-haired Oni took a few deep breaths after that. The spell was more taxing than she thought. To think just using 2 spells was enough to put her in this state. So you came. Ram commented with sharp eyes as she noticed a silhouette step out from the darkness. It was small dog, barely even reaching her knee. It looked pretty harmless actually, one could even call it cute. The strange bald spot on top of its head only made it more adorable. The red glowing eyes and eerie crimson aura surrounding it though, was neither cute nor adorable. Puppy with a bald head. Ram noted the small dog appearance in an instant. You're the one who cursed my REM. She stated, eyes becoming cold as she stared at the creature that attempted to kill her sister, hiding under that guise. Don't you know how disgusting you smell? That appearance is unsuited for the likes of you. As if responding to her words, the thing gave an expression similar to a mocking grin, then slowly its body began to twitch. The soft fur coating it crumbled, its limbs gave of snapping sounds, it back bending in a sickening manner. Its short tail began to extend, even the shape of its face was changing. The sound of muscles, bones and joints being snapped, broken and rearranged accompanied the thing's transformation. In front of Ram was no longer the tiny 1-foot-tall pup, but a humongous wolf-like creature, towering over her, over 9 feet tall. Greyerera. Its roar alone was enough to create a shockwave that's strong enough to shake the surrounding trees. Its crimson eyes peered down onto Ram's petite figure, saliva and drool dripping from its massive maw. Fura. Ram wasted no time and shoot a sharp arc of wind at the creature. The Woolgarm let out a growl of pain as it sliced into its front limb, splattering blood on the ground. It lunged at Ram in response, extending its maw, biting at the Oni who managed to only just dodge. Rolling on ground, Ram quickly tried to regain her balance. As she did, she quickly prepared another spell, however the Woolgarm was faster. Before she could do anything a paw slammed into her, sending her crashing into the dirt. Ram let out a groan of pain, blood dripping from her forehead. To get caught by such a simple attack, she really has lost her touch, hasn't she? She was not given any reprieve. She was forced to dodge as the abomination's maw snapped down where laid only a moment ago. Ram let her magic flow into her hands, swinging them down one by one as she stood up, once again sending slicing winds at the beast. The Woolgarm was too agile. Despite its size, it managed to dodge one spell completely, while the second one barely grazed it. The wolf-like beast roared and charged at Ram, forcing her to flee. Facing this thing directly was suicide. If only she was as strong as Rem, she would have perhaps stood a fighting chance. As she was, she barely had enough mana to cast a dozen spells. Even now she can already feel her body starting to ache from the lack of mana. Suddenly she felt a massive power spike from deep within the forest. The wind was howling, roaring with power. Ram found herself gaping at. What in Volcanica's name? That was the only thing could think of as she found herself staring at a hurricane, an honest two-god hurricane, that sprouted from an area not far from her position, blaring and rampaging, swirling with power. Wait, isn't that? It was small and barely able to be seen from this distance, however there is no mistake, compressed inside that massive hurricane, was group of demon beasts. And judging from the hurricane's direction, only one person can responsible for such a feat. A hurricane of this size, that is without doubt a high-tier spell. Judging by its size, it's strong enough to wreck an army. She thought with awe while she kept running. She was not stupid enough to stop and gawk when there was a 3-meter-tall monster was chasing after her. A growl from the beast behind her caused her to falter. She was surprised to find the massive Woolgarm also enraptured by the spectacle. As if sensing her stare, the Woolgarm turned its attention back to her. With a snarl it began charging her again, this time notably faster. Ram grit her teeth. Casting El Fura a moment ago took more out of me than I thought. She could feel herself growing more and more exhausted, and the thing quickly closed the distance. Fura. She yelled as she cut down the nearest tree, intending to make it fall down on top of the massive beast. It missed, the tremor of the falling tree only serving to enrage the beast further. Ram barely managed to survive the following crushing bite by throwing herself to the side. Letting a groan slip past her lips, Ram once again dragged herself to her feet. She glared defiantly at the massive demon beast leering at her. She swore she could see a hint of smugness in those red orbs, and it did nothing but annoy her. Worthless animal. She spat, you're not worthy to look upon me with those eyes. The Woolgarm roared in response, running at her, maw opening wide intending to swallow her whole. Ram once again began channeling power to her hands. She thrust them forward as the beast was about to reach her. El Fura. Boom. The powerful blast hit the beast point blank. The gale was strong enough to rip the beast's head back, throwing it back in a stereotypical arc, like in a movie. For once it was the abomination's turn to crash to the ground. Huff, huff, huff. Sweat drenched her body. Wrought with painful spasms, Ram was sure the exertion of that last spell almost made her lose consciousness. The lack of mana inside her was wrecking her body, it felt like she was being burned from the inside. She grit her teeth to hold back the scream. She won't scream, not in front of this wretched creature. Her vision became hazy and she could feel blood dripping from her nose. She was done for, she had no strength left to run and the next spell she cast would kill her. Her pink eyes glanced over to where the beast crashed, and to her horror and frustration it was still moving. Even though it was stumbling to get back on its feet, it was still very far from done. Another hit like that would perhaps finish it, but Ram can't muster the strength to cast anything right now. She glared up at the Woolgarm's towering form. One of its eyes was almost swollen shut, it was missing a few fang and blood was seeping from its head. But it was not enough. The thing let out another terrifying roar as it raised a gigantic paw, intending to crush the pink nuisance into dust. Ram slowly exhaled, closing her eyes and imagining her most precious person. I'm sorry, Rem. The paw came down, like the executioner's axe on the neck of a criminal. Crimson liquid spurt out to the air. Meanwhile in Roswell's manor, dinner was about to be served, Amelia and Rem being the only attendants. The dinner itself was late to begin because Amelia was the only one even wishing to eat. Rem, where is Aaron? Amelia asked the maid, is he already done eating? She wondered where Ram was, usually the twins always accompanied each other when serving dinner. Rem found herself troubled, not knowing how she should phrase her answer. Aaron-sama is currently not at the manor. She began carefully, Aaron-sama and Nei-sama went to the village. The village? Amelia blinked in surprise, this late. There is a commotion in the village, apparently some Mabiasts managed to slip through the barrier. Aaron-sama went to exterminate them and Nei-sama is accompanying him. What? Amelia immediately stood on hearing that, Mabiasts? And Aaron is? Yes. I have to help him. Amelia found herself pausing as she processed that thought. If she wanted to help Aaron she would have to go to the village, and given her appearance, she was sure she would only stand out and make things worse. People would assume it was her doing, that she is the one who responsible for bringing the beasts to their home. Worst scenario, Aaron will be branded as her supporter and get blamed as well. Rem is aware that Amelia-sama wishes to help Aaron-sama. However, she regrets that it is probably for the best if Amelia-sama stays at the manor. Rem said in a careful tone. Yes, she was just thinking about that herself. It was the logical decision, she knew Aaron was able to handle himself, she had personally witnessed him fight Elsa Granhirt to a standstill after all. She had no reason to be worried, Aaron can handle some simple demon beasts. Still, she can't help but ponder one thing. Since when did I start to think so negatively? Her eye twitched. She let out a sigh and slumped back into her seat. Great, just what she needed. It seems Aaron started to influence her with his distorted view. Meanwhile, despite she looking calm and collected, Rem herself can't help but feel worried about both of them. She knew Aaron is a person of strength, the reason why she feared him in the first place after all, the power he radiates is simply inhumane, so he will be fine. But... Nei-sama. If you're worried about your sister then it was for nothing, I suppose. Rem and Amelia practically jumped when a new voice suddenly entered the conversation. Their necks snapped into its direction to find Beatrice sitting opposite of the royal candidate. Beatrice. Amelia admonished, don't sneak up on us like that. Betty was already here since 1 minute ago. Beatrice replied in a blank voice, it was you two who were not paying attention to Betty's presence, I suppose. She turned to the maid with scrutinizing look, your sister is in safe hands, trust me. She stated. Rem. Rem sees. She was still not very certain judging by her voice. Beatrice is right, if there is someone who you can trust it is Aaron. Amelia agreed with a smile, trying to reassure her, I may have only known him for short time, but Aaron is a very responsible person. He is someone who acts based on logic, he is quick thinking and his heart is in the right place, despite his strange view of the world. That shouldn't be a surprise in the first place, I suppose. Beatrice grumbled under her breath, his whole existence itself is strange. Seriously, that boy doesn't know it, but to anyone who is sensitive to mana, he radiates magical energy like sunlight. If that is not abnormal enough, then there is that unknown scent lingering around him. That scent by itself is more than enough to intimidate those who can smell it. What did you say, Beatrice? Nothing, I suppose. Beatrice replied nonchalantly, like Betty said, there is nothing to worry about. She said as she stared at Rem, that boy may not be as skilled as master, but handling some beast should not be a problem. He is strong. Betty thinks you should rather worry about the life of any beast who dares to cross his path. Except for the 3 great demon beasts, Beatrice doubted there was any other beast capable of bringing the night down. He would need to get swarmed by huge numbers to get overwhelmed, and judging by how he carries himself he must still have an ace up his sleeve. The boy was not a fool after all. Well, at least not a complete fool. Yes, I think I can agree with that. Amelia said with a slightly uneasy voice as she remembered how destructive Aaron could be. That warehouse got nearly destroyed just by one of his swings, and he did not seem bothered by the amount of energy he expended. That boy is strong, I suppose. Beatrice remarked with shrug, as long your sister stays with him, Betty is sure everything will be fine. And even if they got separated I'm sure Aaron will find Ram. Amelia added, her face harboring a small smile, you can trust Aaron, he not going to let harm come to Ram as long she is in his sight. This faith and admiration in that boy. I wonder where they come from. Beatrice thought as she watched Amelia. Seriously, that girl had only known him for 4 days, but it is as if she had known him for years. Sure, he is charming, Beatrice had to admit that, however she won't be putting her faith into him so easily. Bubby will need a hand to handle things if that boy ever betrays Amelia, Betty is sure of that. She thought with sigh, enough blabbering. Where's Betty's dinner? She has been here for a while, damn it. She came here to eat. Not to comfort people. Ah, in a moment Beatrice-sama. Ram felt something warm and wet drip onto her face. She felt her hand twitch, and to her surprise it did not hurt. Is dying really this painless? She slowly opened her eyes, pink orbs widening when she saw what stood above her. Holding the massive beast's paw, still poised to crush her, was none other than the man she distrusted so much. Using his invisible sword, he blocked the paw while having his back turned to the beast. His green eyes peered down at her, face marred by injury and blood, his lips curled to grin of joy and relief. You all right there, Pinky? Aaron stated while letting out chuckle. Aaron-sama. Ram breathed out his name with a shocked face. With a grunt, Aaron easily pushed the massive paw aside, like it was a sack of potatoes rather than the muscle-bound limb of a 9-foot-tall wolf abomination. The massive woolgarm was forced to stumble back few steps to not fall. As it regained its footing, it glared at Aaron, who now turned to him fully with a small smirk. Targeting children and women. Why don't you pick on someone on your size? Aaron asked, his green eyes glinting with power. Can you stand Ram? Ram tried to do so, only for to wince in pain. Ram doesn't think so. I see, then just sit down. I will handle this. Ram glanced at her savior, who was smiling despite his back turned to her, one hand holding his invisible sword while the other was clenched into a fist. He looked just like a gallant knight out of a fairy tale for children. Aaron-sama is wounded, she said as she took note of his bloodied face. Ah. This? He gestured to the injury. Don't worry, it's just some scratches, the impact of his attack just reopened them. He said in a reassuring tone, I'm still very far from dying. Truthfully, he should have cut that limb off rather than blocking it. However, his sword skills were still lacking. Too bad to be called good, merely decent. It was not easy to time his strike to sever the limb and make sure Ram was not hurt in the process, so he settled for blocking. Now then. Aaron raised his invisible sword, pointing it at Woolgarm, eyeing him warily. I'll admit it was smart of you try to overwhelm me with numbers while at same time targeting the others. However, it seems like Ram here proved to be more of a problem than you originally thought, right? He gave a feral grin to the demon beast. Too bad, that was a decent plan, adequate. But this is checkmate for you. He took a stance, gripping his weapon with both hands. I'm sure you can hear me, beast tamer, you must be connected to your familiar right now. Know that this is nothing personal, attacked us and we retaliated. The Woolgarm flared its nostrils and as if understand what the man was saying, it let out another fierce roar, shaking the leaves of trees around it, declaring its challenge to the opposing knight. The pseudo-saber did not speak any response of the roar. Mana burst from his body, the turquoise aura almost like a bonfire, illuminating everything around them, leaving cracks in the ground around Aaron. The Woolgarm charged him, maw wide open, fangs bared. It closed the distance in barely a second and lunged at him. At same time, Aaron also moved. Rage alone does not dissuade the sharpened blade. Crimson liquid spurted through the air as the beast's right front and back leg was parted from its body by Excalibur swiftly and almost without resistance, like a hot knife slicing butter. The massive beast let out a howl of pain as its body crashed to the ground, its momentum sending it skidding along the ground, leaving a trail of blood. Its mind screamed at it to stand up, but it only managed to whimper on the ground, its remaining limbs flailing about. The knight leapt, covering the distance between them in an instant. He landed on the beast's neck, reducing its whimpering to a chocked gargle. The pseudo-saber held the bloodied invisible Excalibur to the Woolgarm exposed throat. "Ram, you said you wanted to see this thing die in front of you." Eren said, his gaze never straying from the beast, one of his legs pressed to its long neck, preventing it from moving. It had something comical and ridiculous given their difference in size. "Do you want to cut it down by yourself?" Ram stared at the beast flailing about, its remaining limb uselessly trying to reach Eren who kneeled on the opposite side. "This Ram wants to finish it by herself." Ram said, "But she already can't use any more spells and is barely able to stand. So the honor goes to Eren-sama." "I see, then." Eren green eyes peered down to the beast that was still glaring at him with its red eyes, a small whimper coming from it. "Don't look at me, look into her eyes." He tilted his head to gesturing Ram's direction. "She is your judge and jury, I am simply the executioner." He raised Excalibur to the air, like an executioner preparing his axe. "Know that you were not beaten by me. You fell by underestimating her feelings, for you provoked her wrath by trying to take her little sister from her." The holy sword came down, rendering muscles, bones, tendons and flesh to nothing, beheading the abomination in a single stroke. Eren stared at the Woolgarm's head impassively as it rolled on the ground, before exhaling through his nose. "It's over." "Yes." Ram commented absent-mindedly, eyes staring at the corpse of the beast. Eren walked away from the dead body, approaching Ram. He kneeled in front of her to reach her level. "Are you okay?" "Ram is fine, a good rest will heal her." Ram answered nonchalantly. "Eren-sama is looking worse than Ram. It's just some superficial wounds." Eren chuckled, brushing through his hair. "They already started healing." He said as he revealed a drying wound. "Thanks to lesser spirits, you in the meanwhile, really need to be treated now." He said as he brushed her hair aside, revealing the scar underneath it. "Eren-sama, please don't touch Ram." Ram instantly spoke sharply when she felt his hand brush the scar. "Are you really that prideful? To refuse help when you clearly need it?" Eren asked after a moment of silence. "Ram doesn't mind help, but this is personal. Please kindly remove your hand from Ram." She allowed only 2 persons to touch that scar of hers, and Eren Pendragon was clearly not on that list. "No." Eren refused blankly. "Excuse me." Ram's pink eyes glared at him, for once there was real hostile intent in there. "Eren-sama, if you do not remove your hand right this instant then dash. Is your pride so important that you will allow Rem hate herself more?" Ram felt like she was slapped in the face, eyes wide open as she flinched under the gaze of the man in front of her. What does Eren-sama mean?" "You came here to fight and kill that beast." Eren gestured to the carcass behind him. "While in reality we both know that you were probably going to die if you faced it alone. We both came here knowing that risk. Me on my own is fine, I don't think a pack of mutts can kill me, but you." He shook his head. "As a hornless Oni you should know better." "Since when did you?" "Yesterday I caught glimpse of it when I helped you clean up the shattered teacup." Eren did not lie, he did indeed manage to get a look at the scar. "That explains why you two are so wary of me. No doubt because of the witch smell that lingers around me." He said with sigh, "And don't you dare to change the topic, you know damn well what I'm trying to say here Ram, you're not stupid." Ram found herself unable to refute the man's accusations, not because she's too tired or doesn't want to think about it, but because he is right. Ram was neither blind nor stupid. She sees how her sister loathes herself, how she blames herself for what happened in that fiery night. How Rem pushes herself to work so hard every day, ever since they arrived at the manor. How she always tries to look calm and collected, burying all the pain inside her. She admits it was not her smartest move to accompany the man in front of her. She did this because she was angry that Rem was only one step away from death, only one step away from disappearing, from leaving her. To make it even more humiliating, she was not even aware of it, she did not even realize that her sister was almost gone. It was also because she wanted to show Rem that she truly cared for her. But it all backfired, didn't it? She thought dryly. If Rem saw her in her current condition, it would only make the girl blame herself further. Rem's mental condition, while far from unstable, cannot be considered healthy. What happened to them left deep scar in the girl's heart and soul. A wound still festering after all these years. This is only going to hurt her already damaged mind even further. Ram would never wish for that. Eren-sama knows about REM. She murmured after a moment of silence. If you mean that she has some problem with her head, then yes. But if you mean I know what happened to her, then no. Eren answered with a shrug. That's why Rem was asking that question, about the genius and the hard worker. You caught what I'm trying to do, as expected of you. Eren chuckled. I tried to make Rem see herself in a better light, yes. Ram was silent, head tilted down, eyes shadowed by her hair. An unpleasant sensation was gnawing in her stomach like bugs crawling under her skin. Why? Why do you care so much? Ram asked in low voice. We've only known each other 4 days. But you're already meddling so much was left unsaid as she stared at the ground with clenched fists. In only 4 days and he was already doing such things, trying to help them like this. Eren stared. He stared. He stared and stared. Ram meanwhile was beginning to feel uncomfortable at the silent and so she lifted her head up. Only to see Eren looking at her with face that practically screamed, what in name of every god are you talking about? Pow! Ouch! Ram yelped as a knuckle buried itself in the top of her head, making her see stars. You and your sister really are the same, idiot. And here I was thinking you are the smart one instead. Eren murmured with a mixture of astonishment and bewilderment. What is Eren-sama talking about? Ram practically groaned as she tried to focus her dizzy vision. Ram is going to report this abusive behavior to Roswell-sama. The response she got came in the form of hand that snaked to her cheek, pinching it, making her yelp and try to pry the hand away. Useless as it was, Eren's grip was like steel. I don't know how in name of Akasha, Root, Kratos, Zeus, and even Cthulhu you still don't know about it. Perhaps it because you only have a different perspective of things or what, I don't know. Eren released the poor girl's cheek, its color now matching her hair. He made mental note that her cheek was even softer than Emilia's surprisingly, though not as good as Rem's. In the last 4 days we spent time together, laughing together, smiling together, joking together and even making a promise to you yesterday. To humans, from our perspective, mine specifically, that is already more than enough to consider you two as my friends. While that was not the complete explanation, there's no way he could explain that he came from a different world and can see the future or things like that, but Eren truly was being honest. In the modern era, what they went through until now was more than enough to consider them to be a friend, and Eren himself thought of both maids as friends rather than pawns. He may not be a saint. He may have been manipulative, but his moral sense was in the right place, and Eren would make sure it stayed that way, no matter what. Meanwhile Ram was speechless, for once her mind had become blank after processing what the man said. Friends? That's it? That is the reason why he was doing this? What an illogical and... If you are still skeptical then let me put it in this way, I do this so I can live in that place comfortably, happy, not needing to worry someone going to stab me in the back. Eren added dryly when noticed Ram looking at him like he had grown 3 extra heads. If I help Rem then it means I also help you. It's like killing 2 birds with 1 stone, which mean more benefits to me. Besides, I don't want to live with mentally ill people. He explained in snide voice. The pseudo-saber watched as the maid head slowly tilted down, then her shoulder began to twitching, then they begin to shake. And finally, Ram threw her head back and let out laugh. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. It wasn't a snigger, it wasn't a giggle, it was a full-blow belly laugh. Something so downright ridiculous and so out of character from someone like Ram, it left Eren dumbfounded for a moment. As far he recalled, the girl rarely laughed, maybe not even once in the whole series. Smirk, grin, smile, chuckle. Yes. But laughing like this? Hell no. Her face was not showing any of the sharpness and pride that usually always adorns it. She was truly laughing in joy, in pure happiness, and Eren found himself stare at her expression with a mixture of astonishment and shock. Even if they were twins, in Eren's opinion, they nothing alike. Ram's face usually had a sharp frame and expression, there seems something that made her so unapproachable. Opposite of Rem, even when trying to copy her, the blue-haired maid's face was still more mellow and soft, even if she forced it to look like Ram, but it still looked very different in Eren's opinion. But now. I admit though, she has a nice laugh. That was to be expected from the pretty girl actually. Eren-sama. Ram should expect no less from you. Ram said after calming herself. Eren-sama truly is a knight with 2 faces. There no bite or heat in her words, they're more a like statement and dare Eren said, a compliment. Being chivalrous and a gentleman is fine for me, but one should never lose their common sense because it. Aaron replied in an amused voice, so I guess the Knight with Two Faces is indeed a suitable nickname for me. This Ram approves of that title, it really suits Aaron-sama. Ram agreed with small smile, then, Ram takes it Aaron-sama knows what he should do. She won't ask, Aaron can tell Ram is that kind of person. Of course. He raised his palm, calling forth the energy that dwells inside him again, letting it flow to his hand, let's see. Oni absorb mana through their horn, right? Since you're hornless then. Please don't transfer a large amount of it in an instant, Ram's horn needs delicate, careful, and tender treatment. Ram deadpanned, as a knight in training, Aaron-sama need to learn how to treat a young lady, especially one as beautiful as Ram. Aaron shuddered hearing that, the way Ram chews her words, yeah, that clearly not the best choice of words, I will try. He replied to her, glad he managed to keep his voice calm, let's see. I have to let it out piece by piece. Ha, what a troublesome thing to do. He put his palm few centimeters away from Ram's scar. Then he let out his mana carefully and slowly, trying to not make it burst. The knowledge on how to expel mana from his body is already known by him, he learned it the first day after using it against Elsa. He forced the energy flow to be as moderate as he could. It was hard to do actually, the sensation was almost like preventing a regulation the flow of water by pinching the hose closed. A gasp come out of Ram's mouth when the mana was absorbed by her horn. She felt her body become weak for a moment as she slumped. Seeing this Aaron immediately steadied her, face turning concerned. Ram? Oi Ram. Are you fine? I didn't put two dash. Our Ram is fine. Ram cut him off in an uncharacteristic airy tone, her hand immediately latched to Aaron's other arm, using it as support, Aaron-sama's mana is too rich. She said that while gasping and clutched his arm shakily. Even Roswell mana was nothing compared to this man. Perhaps it is because of Aaron's true nature, whatever that may be. With his mana being more potent than even that of Lugnika's most powerful mage spoke of quite something in Ram's opinion. Should I continue? Aaron found himself feeling very uncomfortable due to the sudden closeness. He would be lying if he said he didn't enjoy having pretty girl in his arms, but Ram was acting so out of character. She's really like Rem right now, so shy and cute. And Ram never, ever did cute in Aaron's opinion. Not even in canon. Except when she tried to annoy Subaru. So yes, he enjoyed it, but it was kind of disturbing in a way. Why yes. Please. Oh okay. It was an awkward and uncomfortable 5 minutes for the pseudo-saber. The whole time Ram's grip on his sleeve never weakened, the girl breathing quite ragged. She was practically squirming under his arm. He even can smell her due to the closeness, it was miracle that he managed to stay focused and keep the mana flow stable. Though there few times he lost focus, which resulted in a gasp and a very sensual voice from Ram. Is it enough? Aaron asked with slight stutter. Ram didn't answer and only removed her grip from Aaron's sleeve, indicating it was enough, her head was tilted down, obscuring her face as she got back to her feet. Aaron let out breath of relief and he turned away from the pink-haired Oni. God, that was awkward, like really awkward. What the hell is going on here? When he went out to kill the shaman tonight he never thought he would trigger such a flag. From now on. Ram broke the silence between them, face still shadowed by her hair, her voice blank and hollow, from now on Aaron-sama is forbidden from transferring his mana to Ram. Aaron spared small glance to her, even if she hides it he can tell her face was burning, well it just makes sense to be embarrassed after going through something like that. He was also blushing right now. If you say so. He answered with nod, face turned away. That was good idea, he didn't think he could hold himself back forever seeing Ram like that, gods it felt so weird and... He shuddered visibly, maybe he should stop transferring mana to everyone. Granted he did that only to Beatrice this far but, the librarian's reaction was very tame compared to Ram. Perhaps it because she is S-spirit while Ram is a living being. Aaron tried to find something to distract his mind and possibly break the awkward tension between them. He found it in the form of big dead body lying in front of him. He stepped forward to it, raising his hand he touched the carcass with a contemplating look. If he recalled correctly, demon beasts here actually created by Daphne, the witch of glutton, in first place to become food. People just never try to eat them because of their menacing appearance and the fact they usually get eaten first. Let's bring this thing back home. He said aloud. Ram, who was silent for last few minutes, blinked, her eyes regaining their focus as they shifted to Eren, who now rubbing the dead Woolgarm. Eren-sama wants to bring the beast carcass home? Yup. Let's try to cook it. Eren-sama. Yes? It's a beast. I know. It looks like a dog. I know. It used to transmit curses. I know. It ate people. Thank you, Mistress Obvious. Eren deadpanned to the pink Oni, I don't care what you think. This thing tried to eat me, so now I'll eat it right back. He got what Ram was trying to say, however for some reason he also curious how it tasted like. Okay, perhaps Saber's appetite really got to him if he thought of that. But he can't find a reason to care for now. Rem's cooking is the best. Even if it looks unappetizing, I'm sure she can make a good meal from it. He finished while patting the beast's chest. Now, let's go home with our steak. I mean trophy, yes trophy. He declared as he walked forward, grabbing the beast's massive spiky tail to drag it with him. He just took a few steps before became dizzy. On reflex, he stopped in his track and held his forehead, eyes closed. He tried to banish the ache hammering his brain. Eren-sama. Ram noticed the kite's sudden pause. Are you okay? I'm fine, just a bit dizzy. He replied while shaking his head, probably blood loss. I'm sure after eating I will be fine. That, and he sure it also because he used Strike Air, Hammer of the Wind King against the pack of Woolgarm a moment ago. He wanted to use it since the beginning, however since the children were still in range it was too risky. Using a noble phantasm, even if only C-rank anti-unit, is already this taxing. Granted I can use it again for 10 or more times, but if I try utilizing Excalibur. He shook the thought off, it was not time to think about that. Right now is time to celebrate, having dinner and then a nice hot bath. Roswell has tubes that constantly heat the bath's water when people enter it. Now that is something he had to try. Come on Ram, I want to eat this thing, I'm really hungry now. He said to the maid with small grin before resuming his walk, all while dragging the dead Woolgarm behind him as if it's some kind of simple cart. Ram could only shake her head with a sigh. Eren Pendragon is strange person, why should she expect something normal from him? Granted his actions and decisions are based on logic but, doesn't change the fact he's still strange. But if he is not strange? Ram can't imagine how he is supposed to be. She thought as she glanced at the knight's back, not noticing the small smile that unconsciously crossed her face. If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.